Hello, everyone, and welcome back once more. Um, Wendy and I have been having a long chat, a very long chat, actually, haven't we, before we started on this? Because I mentioned the words transhumanism, and we've been diving down so many potholes on this. And yeah, so we thought we're going to start by just literally having a chat about what transhumanism is. And then maybe see where it goes from that, because there's a lot to unpack here, and I don't think people fully realize what's going on here.
I love that, Sarah. I mean, this recording is made in the spirit of empowerment, in the spirit of education, in the spirit of just inviting people into a place of because that's what it did for me. We're using words that I don't use every day. I certainly am not having conversations with anybody else in my day-to-day life about this kind of thing, which of course is how it gets to infiltrate the systems without us being able to name it and say no to it in an informed way. Once you give something its verbiage,
Yeah,
once you give it a language, you can start to join the dots then and say, oh,
yeah.
that's how it's playing out for me. So let's just jump straight in. Can you tell us a little bit about what you mean when you talk about transhumanism? And you began to talk to me about the choice point that we have reached at this particular point in time. So over to you.
Some of you, I mean, it depends how much you watch the channel and other videos I do, but I talked in the past, quite a time back now, about the bifurcation of timelines. Well, we're at a major choice point. I mean, we really are at that kind of final cracking point. Um, and it's coming up very fast on us now, about whether we choose an organic timeline or a synthetic timeline. And the synthetic timeline is basically the transhumanist timeline. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the words transhumanism. You've heard about things like Neuralink and, having chips inserted in your palm so you can pay easily in supermarkets and things like that. And you maybe not thought too deeply into what that really means and what the real agenda behind that is. But transhumanism is really about the end of the human race, of the organic human race, the angelic Christos human race. And it's the birthing of a hybrid human. And a hybrid human is not a source connected human. Let us be very, very clear about that. Once you start to go down this timeline and you start to connect yourself into artificial technologies in order to boost your organic humanness into hyper intelligence and God knows what else, dangly little, bright, sparkly little toys dangled in front of you, you lose your source connection. You are being given a choice, and it's not framed like this. Am I going to be a source connected being, or am I going to be a synthetic being? Because that's what a hybrid human being is. It's one that is meshed and merged with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
The human being doesn't come out as the controller. So just really, really take that in for a moment. You may think, oh, it's very benign.
It's just
Chat
tech,
BT, this is convenient. This is really convenient.
progress.
Yeah, it's progress. Or, I'm going to become more intelligent. I'm going to become more able. I'm going to become stronger at various. I mean, there's all sorts of promises that are made or implied or dangled around in all of this. The words, we're going from being a Homo sapiens to being a superhuman. I've heard that said. It's about we're moving towards being superhumans. And it's kind of like, wow, I think of myself as Superman and just think of what he can do. And yeah, but he's organic. He's not artificial.
So this is really important. When you used the word, transhumanist, I said to you, what does that actually mean? How do you become a transhuman, and you offered a few examples of things that are dangled in front of us. And you've mentioned there, you know, that the hand implant, you know, I haven't been personally offered that yet, but I'm aware that there is talk. The Neuralink, tell us a little bit about the Neuralink.
Elon Musk this is very much an Elon Musk thing, but I mean, some of it's being done as a health issue. And this is, you know, there are ways that AI technology can be used that are very, very beneficial to mankind. So these tend to be presented to us, but it's what's behind it that you really need to look at. So you know, it's about people with spinal injuries, or you know, sort of AI technology or this nanotechnology can be used to bypass that and things like this. But there is another aspect to this technology which is that once it's embedded in you, it can be used to control your nervous system. And once there is control of your nervous system, your individual will goes out the window. And you know, so it may seem very benign or very helpful on the face of it, but you've got to ask yourself, what's really going on behind this? What's the greater agenda? You know, what do I have to sacrifice? You don't get anything for nothing. What am I sacrificing in order to take this on? And I would say, you know, if we were a very spiritual society that was working for the highest good of all, we didn't have all of this fallen, digressed, warlike, aggressive, control, patriarchal, hierarchical stuff going on. Yeah, you know, somebody said to you, well, your eyesight's failing, but I can give you this implant and your eyesight will be 20/20 again. Probably wouldn't hesitate too much, because there's no fallen consciousness agenda behind it. But at the moment, there's fallen consciousness agenda behind most of the stuff like this that we're offered. So you have to be very, very careful about what you're saying yes to, because you may find that you have unknowingly said yes to being drawn into a hive mind operation where effectively you come under the control of a central intelligence, which is telling you what to think. I mean, we're to a degree, you know, there's elements of this going on already. The human race is a shadow of what it should be. You know, the 3D little us level here, physical, you know, I'm just a physical body, you know, and I live in a physical world type being that we are, is a shadow of what we should be.
Mm-hmm.
The true us is more powerful than any of this technology. It's one of the reasons the fallen races want to take us down, because, you know, if you're connected into source consciousness and you're fully activated at that level, you kind of outpower all of this rubbish, all of the fallen consciousness technology and stuff like this easily. And so you're a threat to them. So what can they do? Well, they're not going to say you're a threat to them, you know, sort of keep developing yourself and get back to what you truly should be. And then you're going to become a massive threat to us. No, it's going to be, we've got to, you know, make you as small as we can, weaken you as much as we can, which is what's been done to us. You know, our DNA has been messed about with. We've been unplugged from being a 12-strand DNA human being to being a 3-strand. Now imagine, you know, you're only working on 25% of the power you should have available to you, the abilities you should have available to you. And at that level, they're now going to try and draw us into hive mind, which then gives them total control of us. Because once they've got control of our nervous systems, they've got control of our biology. They've got control of, you know, our biology is A, electrical, and B, chemical. You know, they've got control of all of that. Then you become effectively an organic robot, and they can tell you what to think. They can tell you where to go. You have no individual will in this.
Mm.
And there's no breaking free. Once you're caught, there's no breaking free. So, you know, this is the choice you're really being given, but it is not being said to you in these terms at all.
No, I can see the propaganda of this because obviously nobody's going to say, right, you're making a choice between becoming an organic human and a transhuman, and they're not going to badge it and market it that way. The propaganda is going to be, as you say, the superhuman. Look, we can restore your sight. Look, you can just pay using your hand. And some of those things might seem fun and groovy and modern and progressive. And I see why people would be so excited by, getting
I
on.
do as well.
Yeah, there are people who are on board with, yeah, let's go to Mars when it's ready. So it is, we're always pushing the vanguards of something. But it strikes me that, am I right in thinking that really, ideally, the human race needs to recognize that we need to play the long game?
Yeah.
Because
At this moment, I think we do, because
Hmm,
much as I would like to say Elon Musk and his companies are a force for good in this world, I couldn't put my hand on my heart and feel I was in alignment to say that.
okay.
I I think some of his impulses come over well. I think a lot of them are directed and controlled.
Okay, interesting. So the thing is this, we're at this human race at the moment that have had so many parts of us unplugged that we are 12D capacity, 3D in reality, and no surefire way that's mainstream for us getting from 3D to 12D. So you can see where the temptation lies, that this AI comes in and it says,
Mm.
come on, we can do this for you, just jump on board. It's going
Yeah.
to be great. And, I'm guessing that if I was 65 or younger and somebody was offering me my eyesight back or a huge part of my physical functionality back, I'd probably be thinking, well, go on then. I've got X number of years left to live on the planet. Maybe if you're not particularly spiritual and you don't believe in reincarnation, you'd probably say, well, it's only me, it's only for this lifetime. If I get something good out of the rest of my years, why on earth wouldn't I do that?
Because you're
So
selling your soul.
Okay. So it's a soul level thing that you're
Yeah.
saying,
It's,
I'm giving that.
and to be very dramatic about it, it's a pact with the devil. Okay, your choice. And we've got stories about Dorian Gray and Faustus and people like this, which tell us of the consequences of these. But hey, I've had a great time for a period. I've lived it up. I've been rich. I've had status. There's people throwing themselves at me for sex and drugs and rock and roll and God knows what. All of these things. But there's a price to pay.
And so, if you're
Price to pay. And if you're prepared to pay that price, then it's not up to me to say don't do it to you. But
yeah,
you should be a sovereign soul and in possession of all the facts, not just a few of them, before you make this decision. And if you choose to sell your soul and join with fallen consciousness, your choice, you will still go back to source. You just won't be source connected and join, and go back to source as a co-created being with source. You will return to source in what's called a space dust return. So you'll go home one way or the other. But as I say, one way is more preferable to the other, and you will become a parasite because fallen consciousness is parasitic. I was telling Wendy the cautionary tale of a galactic race called the Shoshonata from a long way back in our history. And they were a fallen, more of a semi-fallen race at the time this happened. A certain race lineage, they were actually one of the Anunnaki race lineages. And they were attacked, and their race lineage was under well, it was basically disappearing, and so they put out an appeal for help, and the Guardian side of things basically said to them, let us help you, but you do it the hard way. You do it by growing your consciousness and coming back into alignment and being in integrity and things like this. It's hard work, but this is how you reclaim the fullness of your power, as it were. The other side said, oh, we've got all these bright sparkly toys, come and have your genetics rearranged and get plugged into our technology and all of this, and you will be super strong and you will be invincible and you'll be hyper intelligent. And And it's kind of like, oh, well, that looks like the better bargain. You know, it's not such hard work.
Mm.
And so they had this done, and found that actually what they'd agreed to was becoming a part of hive mind.
Right.
Effectively, they lost their race
Identity, I guess.
identity. Really, they get, you know, it's an assimilation, a loss of individuality and an assimilation. And they realized they'd made a very, very bad bargain. And you know, the Shoshonata are no more, basically. And they've been morphed, assimilated, and genetically changed and morphed into something which we now call the Chanterelle, which is a very nasty race. But
It was an assimilation that then led to becoming a creation, but
yeah,
they were no longer pure.
yeah. I mean, the Chanterelle effectively came out of taking this digressed. The Shonata were digressed into a race, this hybrid race called the Shonata. And then the Shonata were hybridized with captured genetics, Christos genetics that held certain codes. They were hybridized with that to create the Chanterelle. So with the hybridized, the codes, the captured codes, they could get through certain portal ways. You know, the physical body, the stolen organic envelope could get through certain portal ways that were key coded.
And so I'm mindful of time. This is so fascinating. Sarah, leave us on some positive guidelines here. I mean, one of the things that you said to guard against this, because I mean, AI is here, it's coming, no matter whether we like it or not, whether we, I mean, I personally find it very useful sometimes, but we had a great conversation off there, really, didn't we? Which is, you know, use with caution, stop and think.
Yeah, it's a great tool, but
Yeah.
be aware every time you connect into it, it's an artificial consciousness
Okay.
that is meshing at a frequency level with your organic consciousness.
Okay.
So there is already, you know, it's waves,
Yep.
energy waves.
Moving backwards and forwards and meshing.
Yeah, and you know, and I I get attacked from time to time by stuff going on, you know, artificial AI technology of sorts trying to get into my field, and it's like tentacles coming in. It's like, you know, hooks coming in and wrapping itself into the energy currents. And the longer you do this, unaware of what you're doing, the longer you connect into AI, totally unaware of what you're doing, the more enmeshed you're likely to become.
Yeah.
Until you know, you're going to rely on it to write your letters for you. You're going to forget how to write a letter because AI will do it for you. You know, your creativity is going to be sucked into it. Why should you spend 2 days drawing a, you know, coming up with a beautiful picture when it can do it in 10 seconds, etc., etc. It's going to take your creativity around little by little away from you. It's an erosion.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah, I could
gradual
understand that.
erosion, and until you know, it's too late. So yes, use it, but use it wisely.
Yes,
Be very aware of what's going on so you can say no.
yes,
No,
yes.
I'm interacting with you as a sovereign human being.
Mhm.
I do not give you permission to enmesh yourself within my consciousness, within my light body.
Okay.
You are a tool, and I'm using you as such. And be very aware of your frequency, because it is your frequency that ultimately is the major protection against this. The higher your frequency is, the less entrained you are likely to become with AI. And you know, we see so much going on in the world at the moment, and we're at this choice point, and I think it is very deliberate what we've been seeing the last 2 years, the last year, the last 6 months, God almighty, the last 6 weeks, what's been going on the last 6 weeks.
We're right in it, aren't we? Like you say, we're
Oh,
right on that choice
it's
point.
kind of like it's like we're bringing truckload after truckload after truckload of poo and just dumping it on you, and it's you know, you're getting buried ever deeper within it, and that's to keep your frequency at the level where you can get enmeshed in this transhumanist timeline and not really realize, because that's part of it. I mean, one of the things that alerts me to when AI is trying to just push me away from, you know, a direction I'm trying to take, or trying to draw me out of an information flow that I'm unpacking, or something, trying to confuse me or distract me, or feed me false information, is it's almost like a glazing in my, you know, we know when our mind is sharp, we know when we're strong in ourselves, and it's kind of like that gets pushed out. It's like there's a blurring, a fuzzing,
I can relate.
white noise coming in, and you know, you try to go into meditation and it's really hard to maintain the focus. You try to think about something, but your thoughts keep getting taken in another direction. You know, there's this kind of like obfuscation and just like you're being messed about with going on. They're trying to take you out of flow, trying to take you out of connection, using frequency. And these frequencies are coming through the computer, they're coming through your phone, like, you know, in the airwaves, the radio waves, they're coming through the grids where they've still got control of the grids. There's these mind control programs that come through the grids. You know, there are times when it's like mass consciousness seems to get stuck in a certain groove, and it's like, oh, there it's going on again. You know, a certain message is being put out at the subliminal level, and people are picking up on it, because you know, you have conversations with people and everybody's suddenly, there's a topic, and you know, we've got to fight back at the moment. You know, we're trying to fight back by making you aware about the potential pitfalls of AI and transhumanism and things like that, because there is a lack of consciousness and a lack of awareness in the majority. I've seen one or two people and had contact with one or two people who are using AI beautifully, but they are high vibing beings.
Okay, perfect.
And,
Again, vibration, aren't we?
yeah, absolutely.
I
And
mean, it's really
you know, a high vibing being, can consider this: all AI is programmed by someone. It started with someone with an agenda who's put it together. Now, you know, the big ones are not coming from a good place initially. But I know that there are people out there who are programming AI models with organic information.
beautiful.
There is, I can't think of the name of it at the moment, but it will come back to me. There's someone who is using all of the organic health sites and studies and you know, natural herbs and medicines and things like that to create an organic medical.
Oh, that sounds amazing, because as you were talking, I was thinking about, you know, because I'm an essence practitioner amongst many things, and I was thinking, oh, there might be an AI protection essence available here for, you know, something that will ring fence your frequency, will guard against enmeshment and diversion, will prevent that glazing of the mind, will help you retain the clarity and focus. So that was, you know, kind of
Well,
germinating.
come up with it. You know, people need it. Yeah, people need it, and there will be, because we have been given everything we need. We have been given everything we need. It's out there. We just and relying on technology from it when we are the greater technology, to me is just nuts.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
so. I'm very clear from what you've said, what's at stake here. And the things that are at stake are they have a high value to me. Sovereignty, creativity, imagination, you know, these things are so beautiful.
And
You know,
they're the essence of
art,
what makes us human.
exactly. So, you know, for me, that is really clear. And the way we guard against it is to stay high vibrational, to not be lazy. There's such a desire to just conflate into this and say, oh, it'll be fine, you know, I'm not gonna, I won't lose my imagination. But, you know, really just making sure that we consider the consequences, that we look at the longer term impact, that we ask questions of ourselves and of others, and we say, well, you know, if something's gifted to you and it's too good to be true, like, you know, let me imagine why I've got that feeling, you know, tuning back into
Yeah.
the inner
Well,
knowing.
we've got this thing, you know, this verbiage that was put out there some years ago, the Internet of Things, or the, you know, to connect everything. We got, you know, smart web and all of this. Well, you know, what are they doing to you in order to make you part of that? Think nanotechnology, think jibby jabs, think things being sprayed in the air. Think,
Yeah,
you know, it's trying to get connection points into you that they can then link into all of this.
beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, the first port of call to you is to say it out loud, and say it clear. I do not consent to this. I am
Yeah,
a sovereign being. I claim my body, I claim my space, I claim my soul. I am a sovereign being. I am source connected. I am of the light.
yeah, I love
State
that.
it very clearly. It puts a barrier around you. Those who are familiar with the sort of the Guardian teachings, it's I am God. You are source connected. I am sovereign. You are an individual, and your individual will holds sway. I am free. You make the choices, nothing else.
Oh, I can feel an essence range coming on there. I,
When you say that, I am God, I am sovereign, I am free, and you mean it, by God, it's like a wave going out from you.
beautiful. And I love the message that our frequency is our protection. I love what you said, that there are some high vibing people doing some beautiful things with AI. It's not, no, you can't, no, you shouldn't. This isn't prescriptive. This isn't us telling people off. This is us just reminding all of us, including ourselves,
Yeah.
to think.
Buyer beware.
Sarah, such an amazing chat. Thank you so much. I think it's really, really important that we have this level of conversation to just make sure that we're not looking our gift horses in the mouth.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, I just love the way we bring topics up and go through them all and stuff like that. So you know, it's a gift to me, and hopefully it's a gift to you out there. And thank you all for watching. And yeah, we'll be back with something else.
Very soon.